Hello. So drop like your fire emojis. It's the end of year community chat. Good evening. Hello. Okay, that's great. It's good to see everyone after so much time. I think the last time we chatted was on Livestorm, and um, yeah, my green screen is showing the, the background of my green screen is a green screen, so it's very meta. Thank you. But yeah, it's so good to see everyone. It's been quite a while, and I'm very excited to be here today, particularly because I think we have some really good news to share. I see so many familiar faces. I see Scott, Pierre, Thibaut. Nice to see everyone. I see Desi. I see Jalma, Paridi, Maiva. Hello. We have like 63 people. That's amazing. Where's everyone joining us from? Before we start, let's all get to know each other. Um, where are you from? Where are you joining us from? Where are you going to be watching us over the next hour and a half? Discord. Nice. Nice. And we have Derek, of course, from Phoenix. We have Brazil, France, the Netherlands, Italy, Latvia. Nice. Bolivia. Wi-Fi is in the room right next to me. Okay. And Germany. Oh, that's so many places. Anyway, it's so good to see everyone again. Welcome to the Strapi end of year community hangout with the nice dancey emoji. And I'll just be taking you through today's program. I am Daniel Matadisapiri for those who don't know me. But for those who do, you know me as Belgamves, developer relations at Strapi. So today we'll be talking about, the Hangout. I want to start off by saying it's been a really big year for the Strapi community. We've celebrated so many achievements, and I think one of the biggest is just gathering 40,000 GitHub stars together. That's an insane amount of stars. And this year really has been dedicated to building the Strapi community and getting us to where we are today. And I want to share a little video that sort of speaks to that. So let's do that. Let's add this to the studio.
Version 4 is coming up, and I'm so excited about version 4, man. So many wonderful database models will be changed, and this makes me so very excited.
And I really couldn't be more excited about version 4 coming out, not only because of performance and visual improvements, but especially because of the new plugin ecosystem, which will open a lot of doors.
With the release of version 4, we are excited about the new design system, which is more user-friendly, and the plugin API, which will help us in creating plugins for third-party integrations and applications.
I feel really excited about the V4 with the brand new design system, which is really amazing. You will find a lot of new features like the plugin and content APIs, and finally the error handling we were all waiting for, so stay tuned to discover more about it.
And that was the video we had saying V4 is coming soon. And I'll leave it at that for now. I see a lot of familiar faces who are actually in the video. I think a lot of people have been really excited about V4. And to you all, I just want to say thank you. It's been quite the journey building this to where it is right now. And it's always so inspiring to have a bunch of people who are passionate about doing something and changing the way we handle content on the internet all over. And I'm honored rather to bring someone on. I'm going to bring on Aurelien to talk about Strapi. He's one of the co-founders. I feel like it's very fitting given today's release that he sort of shares where everything came from, where we're going, and then we'll get into more of the hangout. Sounds great. I need more activity in the chat. I need fire emojis so that we can welcome Aurelien. Aurelien, take it away. Let's bring you on. Hello.
Hello, everyone. So nice to see all those very common faces. Hello.
It's
wow.
amazing.
So many fires emojis.
I know. It's so good to see. Yeah, I see a couple questions. We'll have a dedicated section, so just like hold your fire, and we'll have like all the time to answer some of your burning questions. Don't worry, but we see them. But yeah, Aurelien, do you wanna take over?
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen.
Perfect, perfect.
Perfecto. Can you see it? Cannot see you, so
Yeah, I can see it.
perfect. So yeah, today I wanted to, like, first of all, show a lot of gratitude to everyone working on V4, but also to look back and share with you like the true story behind Strapi and where all of this started. So for that, we have to look back in January 1st, 2014, where we were just like basically 3-4 students working on a side project. And at that time, the goal was just to rethink WordPress, like to rebuild WordPress using a very trendy technology at that time called node.js. You all know it. And yeah, we started working at a bouldering gym, then in public libraries, random flats. So you can see some very early picture. I'm sorry for the quality of those pictures. I did my best, but yeah, it was the beginning of Strapi, because even if it wasn't Strapi at that time, the goal was still to build a powerful CMS. And actually, it was not really Strapi. At the time, it was called Extensio. So I'm pretty sure most of you didn't know that. And this is some screenshots from Extensio. I did a lot of research this morning to find those screenshots. So it was, yeah, basically WordPress with a better UI and built on top of Node.js. And what we did is that we presented and introduced Extensio during a Node.js meetup in Paris at the Mozilla Foundation building. And we got a lot of very interesting feedback. And the one that was the most important for us is, why are you rebuilding WordPress? You should do something different. You should build something that make more sense, like in the new area where API are rising, and building an API first CMS would be better. And this is where we started to have this idea to build Strapi instead of Extensio. So we left Extensio and we decided to build Strapi. And Strapi was born in October 1st, 2015. So almost a year later, almost 2 years later, when we started to build Extensio. So you can see, like, yeah, the very first website of Strapi. I think we were using like Bootstrap to do the design, and everything was green. But you can still see like the style in terms of user interface and UX for the administration panel. Yeah, well, it was 6 years ago already. And then we started to move from a side project to an enterprise, and we had our first offices a few months later. So these offices were like, yeah, very important for us. Even if we are now a remote first company, at the time we were only 4 in the enterprise. So yeah, it was a big step, like moving from a student and side project to a professional software. And in 2017, we introduced Strapi v3, the version that we all know. It lasted, yeah, this version lasted for more than 3-4 years. It was v3 alpha. It was the very first introduction of the plugin system. We decided to rewrite the administration panel in React, because before, for Strapi v1 and v2, it was built on top of Angular. The website was new. We decided to leave the green for a better and, I think, peaceful blue color for the administration panel. And yeah, we rewrote the documentation. So I think we are all familiar with this administration panel. And we introduced that new version, or Pierre introduced that first version during the first meetups in Paris. So on the left, you can see like I think that's the very, very first meetup we did to introduce Strapi to the world. And then we did another one at a very, very famous or well-known project called PM2. on the right side of the slide. In 2018, we decided like to build better foundation for Strapi v3. So we added what we call at the time the file upload. It was before the introduction of the media library. We built a better rich text editor. We introduced GraphQL. At the time, GraphQL was still a trendy technology. It was not as popular as it is right now. Introducing also the search filters, etc. And we did also our first fundraising that year. In 2019, we introduced a better way to start, or an easiest way to start your project using SQLite as a database. So you don't have to set up your database anymore. And then you can, I think, achieve or reach the aha moment easily when you start using Strapi. We moved from the alpha to the beta version of Strapi. We introduced our first try to build a design system called Buffet JS. The most powerful feature called the dynamic zones and component has been introduced 2 years ago already. There were books, and we also did another fund raising to grow the team to help us working on that project. And last year, the goal was to make Strapi more professional. So we added even more features and functionalities in the product, like single types, media library to better manage your asset, even if we still don't have the folders, but don't be worried about that. That will be added soon. A new branding. We know we have a great marketing team, and they introduced a new branding. So we moved from the blue to the purple. We introduced also the stable version of Strapi to make Strapi more professional, the role-based access control, etc., etc. And we did also an amazing Series A to grow the team, because building a CMS is not that easy, and we did a lot of people to write documentation, develop the product, talk to you, build with the community, etc. And in 2021, we decided to make Strapi a professional DJing software, because we wanted to do like very important pivot for the software and for the CMS. And since Daniel joined the company, he started to influence us to, maybe the CMS is not the right thing to do, and like DJing the new things. So maybe we could manage content using music. So this is the list of features we're going to introduce with the V4, and I will let Daniel talk about it a bit more. Obviously, it's a joke, but it was funny because Daniel is an amazing DJ, and it's very funny to have him playing music with us on Friday evening. So
Thank
Daniel, it's your turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry?
No, I was saying thank you. Means a lot.
And for the, I wanted also to talk about a bit the vision we have, like for the midterm vision, not the long-term vision for the product, and not the joke about DJing and being a software for DJing. So let's talk about the high-level roadmap, give you a better understanding of where we are right now. So in 2020, we introduced a new feature, SSO, but also the beginning of 2021, we introduced like the most requested feature of all time, like internationalization. It's still hard to pronounce for a French person, I can tell you that. But yeah, it was basically the way to translate your content in different locals and languages. And in Q2 and Q3 this year, it was time to make a lot of technical investment to do refactoring, because we were hitting some limitation in the way like the V3 has been developed in 2017. So to like improve the performance, to build a better API, a better REST and GraphQL API, and to also remove all the frustration because of the lack of data migration, schema management and flexibility, it was time to rebuild Strapi almost from scratch. So that's why we dedicated 2 quarters, even more, to do a lot of technical investment that lead to the V4. In Q4, we also started to work on the plugins, especially the ecosystem. because it was important to have a home for the community, a home for all the contributors working around the core product that are adding functionalities and missing feature in the product. So we will show you that later. It's not today that we're going to announce a marketplace, but please make sure that we are working on it, and it's going to be amazing. And next year, we are going to work on the product, even more on the product. We need to continue investing a lot of and putting a lot of effort to build the best CMS, the best open source CMS. We still lack features. We still lack some basic, or I would say necessary required functionalities as a CMS, but also providing a home, as I told you, for contributors, for all the plugin ecosystem to make sure it's consistent, and we can offer a very high quality ecosystem to the community, and also to start working on the MVP of the cloud version of Strapi. And in 2023, you also have some details, not super details, but some information about what we're going to focus on, mostly the hosting version and the content collaboration for teams. And as a reminder, at Strapi, our mission is to empower millions of people to create and share content. And for that, Pierre our CEO, introduced a great product strategy, the 3C: create, connect, collaborate. And create is all about developer experience, like providing the best developer experience to build apps on top of Strapi. And for that, we need features. You can see some of them on the background. And what it means, actually, it's like having an easy and quick installation setup, helping you to build content, to modelize your content faster, always provide a very powerful Node.js backend framework. Maybe a lot of you don't know that, but there are still a lot of people using Strapi for the backend framework because it's very powerful, and we have an amazing engineering team working on it. And we're also offering a good CLI. So Strapi is one of the best Node.js backend framework available on the market. It also means that being developer first or offering good developer experience is to be deeply integrated with the way developer work, like being easy to use with Git, providing files or making those files easily editable for them, etc. And also being agnostic in terms of database. You can use any kind of SQL database, or at least the most famous one, popular ones. And yeah, that's why also we are starting to work on the cloud, is to offer a frictionless deployment system for all the users, because we know that a lot of you are not like DevOps or backend or experienced backend developers, and it's important for us to give you a way to deploy your project, your Strapi project easily. And also, being developer first or friendly is to provide a very good and accessible and complete online documentation for all of you. The second point, the second C, is about connecting. We know that a CMS is in the middle of the center of a bigger infrastructure. And for that, we need to be connected with a lot of different services and third parties. That's why working on the marketplace is important for us, and having a home for the community is also something that will help us build that vision. Having the marketplace will help us to provide secure and reliable plugin, like with consistent guidelines. We'll see that, but with the V4, we introduced many different things, such as the plugin API to build plugin on top of Strapi V4, and also a very powerful Strapi UI kit based on the design system that we built during the last quarters. And yeah, that's mostly it about connecting Strapi to different kind of services. And the latest one is collaborate, is to offer the best editing experience for content editors. Strapi is a developer-friendly CMS, but at the end, the end user is still the content editor. And for that, we need to provide easy-to-use features, but also features that will help teams to manage content at scale. And we still have a lot of room for improvement on that part, and we know it. And next year we'll be working on that as it was planned. So yeah, a few things about what it is to build a good content editing experience, providing best-in-class design system. We'll also discover that a bit later during the demo, that accessibility was also something in top of our mind when we developed the design system. We now have a theme support, and yeah, that's mostly it for the vision. And this is something that I like to share to all the Strappers, but now you can see it. It's how the ecosystem is going to look like in the 3 or 5 years coming. We have 3 main personas at Strapi. The first one is the developer. We also have the content editor and teams. Strapi will be in a few years distributed locally or using our cloud and accessible through a browser, but maybe later a mobile or desktop application. It's not because it's written there that it's going to be done, but it's part of the vision to explore these possibilities to provide or make Strapi accessible through different devices. And on the right side, it's about the ecosystem, like offering plugins and a home for this ecosystem, which is the marketplace, tools to build that ecosystem, plugin API, design system, and also offering different kind of importers to migrate your product from, other computers such as WordPress to Strapi, or templates. If you want to build a blog, we can provide you a template and you can build your app on top of it, or connectors to use different kind of databases. So that's it for me. And today I'm super happy or excited to announce that Strapi V4 is stable. It's been a huge amount of work. It's been difficult, to be honest, but it was also full of learnings. It's a teamwork. We are building a lot of hope on that V4, and I can't wait to see your feedback on it. So, Daniel, I think it's your turn.
Oh, I was muted. Thank you so much, Aurelien, for sharing. And Strapi V4 is stable, so I've got something for all of you. Little treat for you to try out at the bottom of your stream. There's something scrolling, taking us back to the old web with the marquee tag. NPX create Strapi app, my app, quick start, dash, dash. Try it out now. Give us your feedback. We'd love to know what you think. And yeah, I've got a little video. I'm going to send you back to the backstage of Aurelien, but thank you so much. He'll be here in the Q&A session just in case you have, or we'll bring a couple of other people. So see you soon. Okay, now this is what I wanted to show everyone. That is amazing. Oh my gosh, like I can watch that forever, literally forever. And if you want to check that video out, it's on our YouTube. And you should definitely go to strapi.io/v4. And if someone can drop that in the chat, please do that. And again, thank you so much, Aurelien, for sharing the vision and where Strapi's come from and where Strapi is going. I see a few people have joined. Thanks for joining, Vanessa. Good to see that you're excited about V4. And before we get into the rest of the events, now that we've had like some context for why V4 was super important, I'm going to share just a bit. I won't take too much of your time, and I'll tell you why V4 and what it brings. And after that, we'll have a few demos from people in the different teams. We'll be demoing the injection zone API, and you'll be seeing a little bit of the plugin work that we're working on. We're doing something on Strapi's GraphQL, and we'll be looking at the API also. And then we'll also have a look at the design system. So if you're excited about that, drop that. I see someone sharing lots of love for Next.js. Love that framework also. But yeah, real quick, just that we can get to the demos as soon as possible. Strapi V4 brings quite a lot: plugin API, REST and GraphQL API changes, database query engine, and error handling. And what do all of those things mean? That means, one, we have a new interface. So if you literally run the command that you see at the bottom, you can use this interface that you see in the slides. It is very, very pretty. And we have made it much more accessible with a much wider color gamut for different contrasts. That's something that a lot of people have been asking for, and I think it's such a great quality of life improvement. Better navigation with a collapsible menu, which a lot of people have asked for also. And I think it just makes everything much, much easier. And because I mean, no one asked for it, but we decided to. And because it's amazing, we're sharing with you the new Strapi design system. And we have a dedicated page for the design system. If you go to strapi.io/v4, you can check out our design system page and read all about the philosophy behind it. Our amazing team did an amazing job with, fine-tuning each component and being very intentional about why they did everything the way they did. It's seriously amazing. So you should definitely go check that out. We also have a new plugin API. Aurelien shared Connect, Collaborate, and plugin API is a huge part of the Collaborate by increasing our developer ecosystem around plugins and helping people extend the use of existing Strapi apps by creating new functionality. And this plugin API makes it much, much easier. And you see that when we have a demo from Rémi. So it's also something to be very, very excited about. And I see Emily from the expansion team teasing the marketplace, which is coming much sooner than you think. So also look out for that. So the plugin API adds a lot of really cool things. Rémi will be demoing these injection zones in the admin panel. And I think they're really good quality of life improvements. We've also got a really cool database query engine that the engineering team worked day and night for. I think you should try that out. Before the end of the week, we'll be releasing a video series on what's new in Strapi V4, covering all these topics. So you should definitely also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Very, very useful. And REST and GraphQL APIs have a new response format, better population and filtering, paginations by default, and attributes and meta split. So it's much, much more robust, much, much more performant. And as you can see in the screenshots, it does look very, very pretty. So try it out. We also have the much requested API token feature, which you can set up specific permissions to grant access via the API token for different CRUD permissions. Really great if you don't want to have to go into like the user permission setting and have very fine-tuned access for certain things. So try that out. We also have something that I've just been playing around with. It's something that I did not know I needed, and you probably don't know you need it, but it definitely makes your developer experience much nicer. The new error handling API makes not just you, the creator of your customizable API, but the people who use your API much happier. So you have better error messages and standardized error codes with the new error handling API. And I've done a few videos that I can't wait to share with everyone about this also. So we've done the introduction, we've done the product journey, we've done a quick overview. Now it's time to get into, very quickly, the demos. So I'll bring up one of the engineers, but before that, we'll just play the video again because I see a lot of people really liked it, and I see we've got a couple more people and they haven't had the chance to see it. So back to stream.
Here's Marvin from the core team, and I'm here today to talk about the design system.
I'm muted. My bad. Thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah. Hello, Rémi.
Hey, Daniel.
How are you doing?
Very good. How about you?
I'm good. I'm super pumped. Are you ready to take us off with this demo?
Absolutely. Let me then share my screen, and we'll be taking a look at the plugin API together.
Awesome. Oops. Inception.
All right. So I assume that everyone can see my screen correctly, and please warn me if that's not the case. So we're going to be creating a very little plugin together. And just to give a little bit of context, the app where we'll be creating that plugin is a Strapi application using the V4 stable release from today. And I built this application using the block template. So we have out of the box like collection types like article, category, and some content as well. So what I wanted to build was just, again, a very tiny plugin, which is, for example, to add a button to that list that help us to tweet the links to the articles that are in the article collection type. So this is a little bit of a silly plugin idea, but that's actually kind of the point that I want to make with this demo, is that the plugin API makes building plugins so easy that you can build some for even tiny use cases for things that only you will want to use. Like that's just a nice way to create small tools that make your everyday life using Strapi a little bit better. So now that we have the Strapi application, I'm going to open it in VS Code. So this is, I'm going to hide this. This is my application, it's code base, open on VS4. So I'm going to stop the Strapi server from running, and I'm going to run the command that will enable me to create a plugin using the V4 plugin API. So the command that you want to be running is yarn strapi generate. So yarn strapi generate will trigger an interactive CLI where you can create different types of little bit pieces of code that will help you customize your Strapi application, like APIs or controllers. But in our case, what we want is to build a plugin. So I'm going to name my plugin quite simply Tweet, because we're creating a plugin that helps us tweet about our content. And just by running this CLI, this is actually a generator that will create for us an entire folder in our application with all of the content that we need to run a plugin on the plugin API. So you can see that if I open src/plugins/ the name of my plugin, you can see all that was created by the generator. And if you're familiar already with the plugin API, you'll recognize the two files that are essential to the plugin API, which is the Strapi admin, which is where you'll be able to register all of the customizations you'll be making to the front end of Strapi, and Strapi server, which is where you'll customize all of the backend of Strapi. But if we take a look at what was logged when we created our plugin, we can see that we need first to enable our plugin in the config/plugins.js. And the generator actually provides us with a snippet that we can copy and paste in that file. So let's copy this file, this snippet, and paste it in that plugins.js file. But here you may notice that out of the box, the plugins.js file does not exist, but that's not going to be a problem because we can create it right away by creating a file named plugins.js inside of the config folder. And now if I paste the snippet that was provided by the CLI, normally our plugin should be enabled. And just to make sure that our plugin is enabled, I'm going to add a little bit of code just to add a console log that's going to log like a sample string every time that I start a Strapi application. So let's do that right away. So I'm opening my src/plugins/tweet. And now from the, so where we want to add this console log is in the bootstrap of the backend. So to find the backend's bootstrap, we'll start with the backend entry point, which is Strapi server. From there, we can see that the code generated requires another file, which is from a server directory. And in that server directory, we can find the bootstrap function that is, again, in another file. And now we have access to the bootstrap function that is provided to the plugin API. So in this function, I'm just going to add a quick log saying tweet plugin is enabled. And hopefully, when I restart my application, I should be seeing that console log in my terminal. So I'm going to run yarn develop to start my Strapi application. And you can see that just at the start of my application's booting, we can see that we do have that log saying the plugin is enabled. So great, now that we have everything set up to actually build the plugin, we can get into it. So just as a reminder, what we wanted to build was to add a button as part of the edit view of the content manager. So Strapi v4 makes that very easy with the injection zone that Daniel presented in his slides. And the injection zones are very well documented on the new v4 docs, which you can find at docs.strapi.io. And if you go to the bottom of the sidebar in developer resources and plugin APIs reference, and inside of admin, because again, we're customizing the admin, so the front end, you can see that we do have an injection zone section with all of the information that we need. So first of all, what we want to identify is what injection zone we want to use for this use case. Like what's the name and what's the API that's going to enable us to configure this area of the Strapi admin. And for that, the documentation provides a table with the list of all the injection zones. So we can find it by clicking on the predefined injection zones here in the documentation. So we can see that we have some injection zones in the list view and some in the edit view. And the one that we want is the right links in the edit view because it's saying sits between configure the view and edit buttons, which is exactly what we want. And so now that we found the injection zone that we want to use, the documentation also provides us with a tiny snippet that allows us to understand how we can actually register this injection zone so that it's taken into consideration by a Strapi application. So I'm going to copy this snippet and find where I need to paste it in my my plugins code. So we'll need to find the admin folder of our plugin. And in that admin folder, there should be an index.js file. And in that index.js file, the method that we need to customize is the bootstrap method. So I'm going to paste the snippet that was provided to us by the documentation in the admin's bootstrap. And we just need to customize it a little bit because the name of the injection that we want is not information, but it is actually right links, as we saw on the table earlier. So now I just want to make sure that we do, that this injection zone actually works. So we're going to check that in the front end. So if I just take a step back and see what the code that I copied is actually doing, it's saying that inside of my Strapi application, I need to inject a component in the content manager. It's going to be on the edit view page. It's in the right links section. We give it a unique name, and in that place, we need to add this component. So this function is actually a tiny React component. So we need to see if this code is working. And just because we're customizing the front end of the Strapi admin panel, we need to restart the application using the -- watch admin flag so that we are not using the pre-compiled version of the admin panel, but instead we're actually refreshing the admin panel on every build. So when we do that, the application will start on a different port. So it's on port 8080 instead of 1337. And it's going to take a couple of seconds to boot. And now that it's ready, I'm going to open my content manager and go to the edit view of an article. And we can see that we do have the my compo text that is printed on the screen. So this injection zone is actually working. But I find it a little bit weird to create a React component inside of a JavaScript file that has nothing to do with it. So just to make it a little bit cleaner, we're going to create a component in the components folder. So let's create a component for our use case, which I'm going to name tweetbutton.js. And because we don't have time to do a full live coding demo, I've actually prepared the code for that button, but we'll take a look at it together just after. So I'm going to save that file and I'm going to import it in the index.js file. So I'm going to do a relative import where I need to find tweet button from components/tweet button. Okay, and now if I actually link this tweet button component that I created to my dynamic zone, to my injection zone, sorry, we'll refresh the app and see if we have actually written some correct code. So now if I refresh the Strapi application, apparently I need to log in again. So let's do that very quickly and go back to the page of the edit view. We can see that we do have a new tweet this article button. So before I click on it, let's take a second to see what we've done in that component and how we built this component. So I'm going to go back to my tweet button component and we'll take a look at it together. So first of all, this is a React component that is exported, so nothing fancy here. And what this component exports is a button component. And the button component is provided by the Strapi design system. And that's what allows us to actually have this this plugin seamlessly integrate inside of the Strapi product, because it's part of the design system. And that's why it completely blends in and it doesn't stand out. And we have the right variant of this button that we found using the storybook of the button component that is provided with the design system. And we also have access to all of the content manager's data. So here, what we need to actually tweet the name of the article is to have access to this string, to the title of the content type of the document that we are editing. And this is made possible by a custom hook that is named use content manager edit view data manager. And all of that is documented inside of the injection zone API in the documentation, as you can see right here. And by putting all of these pieces together, so the custom hook and the design system, we're able to create a custom plugin that when it's clicked, and hopefully that, okay, that should not have reloaded. I'm just going to, oh yeah, I came back to my old tab where I was on the wrong port. So when we click on this application, you can see that indeed it's taking us to a link where we can tweet the name of the article. So again, that's a little bit of a silly use case, but it just shows you how you can easily create some fun little plugins with the plugin API and with the design system on the documentation. So you have all the pieces you need to create all of your custom plugins. And we at the expansion team are looking forward to see all of the plugins that you build for the upcoming Strapi marketplace. So thank you. Thank you for listening to this tiny demo, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
That was amazing, Rémi. Are you sure you don't want to tweet the thing so we can retweet it?
Sure, I can tweet that for you. Let me just do it.
Yes, please. And then someone find Rémi's account and then drop the tweet in the chat so that we can all retweet.
Okay. New the game. Tweet. Find my Twitter account.
Yes.
It's live.
Nice, but that's an amazing demo. If anyone has any questions for Rémi, now would be an amazing time to do that. I think we can take a few, and then we can move on to the next demo. Nope, no questions. Do we have any? It's all awesome. Oh, someone already found your Twitter, Rémi. Okay, we have no questions. Let me just check with our next person who's coming on. We should have Richard. Richard, are you ready to come on? Hello, Richard. All right, Rémi.
Hello, hi, how are you?
Thank you so much. Ciao. Good, thanks. Good, thanks.
Perfect.
What do you have for us today? Super excited.
Okay. So today I'll be showing you just a quick, short presentation on what you can do with the controllers and the new REST API. Okay, cool. So just to see how we can get started, we'll start first with the controllers. So I will share my screen.
Perfect. And then I will disappear.
Cool. Okay, so as you can see on the left side, I have a Strapi application where I designed just before this some content type, a few content types or collection types, I guess. And on the right side, we have my code editor, right? So on first glance, you're going to notice that the file structure of the Strapi application has changed, right? So usually if you're going to take a look at your controllers before, they'd be an API folder here. Now that lives inside SRC. And to take a look at your controllers, you're going to go into the APIs, your API name. Today, we're going to be focusing on the product content type or product API. And inside there, we're going to take a look at the folder structure. We have content types, which is going to keep a record of our schema, the JSON format, our controllers, our routes, and our services. So we're going to come back to routes and services in a little bit, but first we're going to focus on controllers. Okay, so opening this file, I've got a few things that I wanted to show you. One of them is how now you can create custom controllers within Strapi. So the new controller API exposes a create core controller factory, which you can use to then start designing your controllers, right? So I have one custom controller created here that is specific for this tiny application I built. It's called.
Sorry, I just came to say, could you zoom in a bit
into the source code?
Yeah, both the VS Code window and your browser window.
Perfect. How's that?
Yeah. Okay, both are great. Thank you. Bye again.
Perfect. Okay. Nice. Okay. Yep. So I have one custom controller called find by model number, and one here that's called find one, and we'll talk about this a little later on. So a few things I wanted to highlight about this custom controller is now we have I've showcased using the new entity service, right? And inside here, what I'm doing is basically looking for all the products that have the model number based off of what I searched for, right? So as you can see here, the entity service shows you how you can query your collection type with filters and much more. So you can find more information about this in our documentation. It's very highly documented, very well done by our documentation team. It's an incredible job. But for now, we're just going to be looking at the filters for this particular use case. Now, inside here, you will notice that I'm querying the product collection type, right? And I'm using the find many entity service that already exists, and I'm utilizing that to search for all products that have the model number. Of course, this is not like the best implementation, but it fits for the use case, right? So I'm pulling the model number from the CTX request params model number, and we're going to jump to the routes page real quick just to show you how I pass that in V4. Okay, so I'm going to check if the list of products returned is greater than 0. Of course, again, please, this isn't the best piece of software engineering you will see. You're going to return the first result. If nothing is returned, you see here we can just return a not found error. Okay, so we can quickly demo that inside Insomnia. If I can just pull that up. I hope you can see my Insomnia page. I'm going to zoom in as much as possible, and you can let me know if that's perfectly fine. If so, we'll proceed, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to query for my product based off of the custom control I created. Now you'll notice a few things. The API URL has changed. Now we append the name API, or we add the name API inside the URL, and then the collection type name. Okay, so this is to better distinguish whether you're trying to query the admin or the API. And the reason for this now, if we can take a look at the routes, okay, inside our routes folder, I created a custom route file, right, for this particular use case. The core routes will be living inside here. So you can see there is a create core route factory that's been exposed, which provides all the core routes that you're going to have for your collection type, which is the get posts for like find many, find one, so on and so forth. And for my custom control, I created a simple route model number.js, right? And here are the routes that I specified for it. And this takes some keys, or it takes basically a key called routes, which is an array, and that's supposed to have definitions of all your routes in form of objects. You have one here that's a get route that basically specifies the path products, model number, and then this model number, right? This is a dynamic URL variable. And we have our handler, which is product.find by model number, which is exactly what you see here. Okay, so this is exactly why you see we have products, model number, and then this. So this is one of the product numbers that I'm searching for, which is this one here. And when we search and send, you should be able to see this. Now, hopping inside our product, take a look, you see that it's more than just the name and the model number. There's a few more things here. We have one dynamic zone with a component that's in there, right, with some information there. And we do also have some information here on the side called price changes. I'm sorry if this is a bit squished, but let's see if we can collapse that and you can see just a tiny bit better. Perfect. So now we're going to move to the next stage of our conversation, which is testing out the REST API. Now, as you can see here, if we want to fetch all of our products, right, we can simply append API products and, oops, that's a mistype. API products, and then you're able to see all the information here. So a few things about the new REST API format. It's no longer just an array of your results. Now you have an object. This object has got two keys in it. It's got data and meta. Data is basically going to be an array of the results that you have fetched. And meta is going to be an object that basically exposes some information about the request that you made. Right now, we have pagination that's been exposed here. We have this page size of 1 because there's only 2 records in the database. We have a page count of 1, of course, and there's a total of 2 records inside this page. Okay. Moving on from there, again, we're going to notice that there is a few things that maybe we'd want but are missing from this response. We can query for more information from here by using our new filters called populate. We can, if I can show you just a quick way to find those inside our documentation, docs.strapi.io. If you go take a look, you can simply scroll all the way down here to API reference, REST API, and then API parameters, right? So you have all that information here about what you can do, populating relations, so on and so forth, which is exactly what I'm going to show you here. So let's say we'd like to see the price changes for all these products, and we'd like to populate them in our request. We'd simply say populate equals price changes, which is the name of the field that we want to populate. If we bring that up, you see all our price changes come back. Again, it's an object with data, and you see that information comes back to us. Okay, and say we have opening times and we also want to populate this dynamic zone data, or maybe we want to populate everything. But let's say we want to populate a select number of things. We can choose the other one. I think it's called work details is the name of this dynamic zone. And you see, you have those work details here available for you. So you have all the components inside of this dynamic zone available to you, which is a really, really cool thing. So moving on from there, you see that in this controller, I had one final function that I put here. It's called find one. Now, I did this here to show you that in Strapi v4, there's a better way for you to extend core controllers or to extend on the functionality of core controllers, right? And that's done by using super.findOne. So this super basically is a keyword that allows you to access the core controllers of this content type inside your custom controller. So you create one with the same name, super.findOne, which is exactly that. And now you have the functionality of the findOne controller already here. In between this, you can go ahead and do whatever you want. Make some API requests, you take data, etc. And then you can go ahead and return that data here. It's still going to work exactly the same, except with some modifications in between. So yeah, that's been a short demo of these few things. If you have any questions, glad to help out answering those.
That's an amazing demo, Richard. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions? I think just the way you can extend controllers is one of my favorite things to do, like with Strapi right now. It is so sweet. I don't want to say easy because it's not easy, but just because it's documented very well and it's built really well, it's just so intuitive. Like it tells you what to do and then it just happens. So yeah, it's an amazing job from the engineering team.
It really is. Congratulations to everyone.
Yeah, so let's see if we have any questions. If not, then we'll go to our next. We actually have a question here. Can we enable auto-populate fields from the model?
By default, no. At least from my understanding, by default, no. You'd have to specify them.
Okay. That answers your question, eh? Any other questions that we need to cover? Is it possible to access the Strapi Global in Controllers plugin?
Sorry, can you elaborate on that? I don't think I understand the question.
Yeah, I think that's Charlotte. Could you elaborate on the question? I know this is something that she asked previously, so.
I think maybe my code editor maybe hid it because there's this keyword up here that's destructured as part of the function, I guess the object that you return.
Okay,
so
I guess.
Strapi Global is available there.
And then you can use that inside the method and access a lot of the properties from that. And okay.
Yeah, I'm using that here to call the entity service.
Okay, we have a bit more context, by the way, in case you want that. So in the controller of the API, for example, a restaurant, can you create a controller giving you access to the Strapi Global?
Again, I don't think I understand what the question is asking on that one.
Okay, no, we can carry on in Discord, discord.strapi.io, no problem. So that we can get on with our next demo. Thank you again, Richard.
No problem. It's my pleasure. See you.
All right, send you to the back, and then now we can have JS. JS, are you ready to come on?
Yeah, of course. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you're rocking the vintage Strapi.
Welcome everyone, and thank you, Daniel, for having me tonight. As I don't know if you mentioned it, but I will demonstrate today a bit of the new GraphQL API. And yeah, so maybe before I do that, I will just give a bit of context behind all the changes that have been operated on the GraphQL API.
That's perfect.
To give a bit of context, then, in V3, the GraphQL API was lacking a lot of features, such as a great autocomplete for the queries, for the mutation, for the filters especially. And also we had a format that was designed programmatically using the model, and we had a lot of trouble to expose a customization API for the user to be able to customize the different types. And another thing was also the fact that the resolver in REST and the controller in REST, and the resolvers in GraphQL were coupled in a way that GraphQL resolvers were in fact using REST controllers, which was fine at the time. But when you need to do more granular operations, such as like you want to add a new GraphQL resolver using only I don't know, I don't have an example, but yeah, if you want to restrict only the GraphQL side of your query, so for example, you have the find, you have a post model, and you want to restrict the find all posts only for GraphQL, or add a middleware only for GraphQL, it was a bit hard to do so. And so we wanted to decouple everything. So that's why now you have REST on one side and GraphQL on the other side. Okay. Now I will share my screen, and I will just demo a bit of the different things you can do. Entire screen. And now you should be able to see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Is it okay?
It's
okay,
all
perfect. So what have I done? So I have a Strapi application running in V4, the release from a few hours ago, sorry. Inside I have a category model and a post model. They have, for the category, just a name and a relation to post. It's a many-to-many. And in the post, I have a title, body, and categories. Also, for the post model, we have the draft and publish feature enabled, but not for the category. Okay, so now let's go back to the queries. So yeah, I should note that I have enabled all the permission for the category and the post in the user and permission plugins. So I don't need to authenticate myself. I have every permission to do everything I want. Okay. So for instance, now if you want to query all the categories, here's the query you need to write. So as you might notice, the format has changed. Now you have your query. So here it's for all the categories. Inside you have the data, just like in REST, and you also have the meta, which contains the pagination. And then you have the total, the page size, and so on. And in the data, just as Richard mentioned, you will have the ID of the entry, and then in the attribute you will have all the real attributes such as the name, the relation to the post, etc. So if I run this, we'll see that I get back all my entries. So I have, if I go to categories, I have tech, food, home, as we can see here. And then in the meta, we have the pagination with a total of 6 and a page 1. One thing that has been improved is the way that you can do search you can use filters, you can use pagination, sorting, right directly from the arguments. Before the filters, it was the where attribute, where arguments, and it was just a JSON attribute. Sorry. Now it's a dedicated type. So if we go here, we can see that it's a type category filters input. And if we go to the category filters input, we can see that we have a recursive nested object that enables us to have a lot of information about how I can query, how I can do custom filters and so on, just by looking at the documentation. So here, for instance, I can see that, I can do filters on the name. And if I want to do filters on the name, I can check if the name starts with something. Okay, let's do that. So filters, name, start with, I don't know, start with T. And here we can see that we have 2 categories which start with the letter T. And that's nice. So the main point I want to raise here is that you now have access to a lot of insight about how your schema works, what kind of filters you can provide to the application. And that's, in my opinion, one of the greatest achievements of GraphQL v4 is the fact that you have a whole new developer experience where you can just take a schema, type the name of a query, and just like go on with the flow with the autocomplete. So yeah, that's something I'm really fond of, and I hope you are too. Here I have the same query but for the post. Here I have query the body, but if I don't want it, we can see that I have 3 posts. Or here I have 4. This is mainly because, as I mentioned, I have draft and publish enabled, and I have 1 draft. So here I can see that because I have enabled draft and publish, I have a new field that has been automatically added to my arguments, which is the publication state. And here I can just say I want all my my articles, my posts, sorry, and here it goes. So yeah, that's very nice. I will quickly pass over the different kind of argument that you can provide to find many query. So here, as I mentioned before, you can have, sorry, I will just make it bigger. You have the filters. You can filter across relation. So here in my post, I want to keep only the post where the categories have their name in this array. So tech, food, and books. I want to sort using the ID attributes by descending order. I want to limit the number of results to 2, and I want to include the draft post. And if I click that, we can see that I only have 2 posts ordered by ID, descending, and it only keeps the one with categories where we have tech, food, or books. So books and food. Okay. Okay, so this is to showcase that you can query relations, and it works as deeply as you want, as nested as you want. Sorry. So here I can just go back and forth with the categories and that are the ID, and it just works. So yeah. You can do mutation with the title. So here I will just update the post. It works well. This is the same format across all the queries for the mutation. So that's nice. Okay, so now we covered the basic functionalities. I wanted to do it quickly, so we now have a bit of time to talk about the customization. In V4, we switch from JSON customization for GraphQL to a programmatic API. What does that mean is that now, if I go here in the new documentation for the V4, we can see that we have a lot of options for the customization of GraphQL. Here we have a great example with a lot of operation that have been done, but basically we can now use the extension service defined right here in Strapi.plugin plugin GraphQL.service extension, and we can do a bunch of stuff. Sorry, such as interact with the shadow create functionality, which is the functionality that allows to transpose your CRUD REST API into a GraphQL API. And so you can just disable completely a type. So you won't have any query, any mutation. You can just disable the queries or the mutation. You can disable only a field of a model. You can also disable some actions, such as the create, the update, or the delete method from the CRUD. And you can also use extension. So it's basically Strapi GraphQL extension. By doing extension service that use, sorry, I can zoom a bit. Extension service that choose your extension, and an extension is defined as such. So we are taking Nexus in parameter. Nexus is a GraphQL JavaScript library, which we are using under the hood to manage how we define model programmatically. It's allowing us to be really more flexible, and that's why you have access to this variable right here. In an extension, you can either give access to new type using the type attributes, or you can customize your resolvers and resolver configuration using the following keys. I will give you a little example of what we can do. I've prepared some little things. So here I am in my index.js file in my application. And in the register function, I will get the extension service, and then I will, for instance, disable the body attribute from the post model. So if I do that and I go back to my post query, I want to add the body to the attribute I query, and we'll see that it tells me that I cannot query the body field because it simply doesn't exist on the GraphQL representation of my post model. So this is the way to disable the body entirely from the post. You can also just disable it from your query response or from your input for a post. All of the different operations that you can do are available in the documentation, of course. Then here I will just disable any mutation on the category. So if I do that, I shouldn't be able to just do a mutation and say, for example, create category. And indeed, I don't have any category-related mutation in here. So that's nice. And finally, I have two more things. Here I have the custom query type. So I've just used the extension service to use a new extension. And this extension is just adding a new type, which is an extension of the query type. So we are just defining a new query here that's called greetings, that's returning a string type. We can pass a name argument, which is a string with a default value of world, and then the resolver associated with the query type will just return hello with the name argument. Another thing that we can note is that by default, we are restricting access to the different queries or mutation, but you can customize that to disable any kind of authentication authorization, sorry, by adding the query.greetings to the resolver config with the auth false value. So if I go here and I just do a query, and we can see that we have greetings. If we just hit enter, we'll see that we have hello world, because my name has the default value of world, and I can also customize that to have, I don't know, and we have the right response. And the last thing, before I take too long on this demo, I wanted to showcase the first draft of the subscription feature. We added a beta version of the subscription. We still have small things to tweak for the subscription, but you can already test it. So what you can do, or at least what I did, was to add a new type, a subscription type from Nexus, where I said, okay, so I want an unpublished post subscription, which will return a post type. And when I will resolve any post, I will just return it as is. And then the subscribe hook will be this function. So this function is basically just a generator function, which will listen on the Strapi Event Hub for any published entry, new published entry. Then amongst those published entry, we'll just filters to only keep the post one, and then we'll just yield every post that we have. So what does it look like in use? We'll see. I will just listen to my subscription. So here I have my subscription, unpublished post, and I want to get the title. And here, if I just go to this post, which is a draft, and I publish it, we'll see that I have a new entry here, which is the How I Discovered Strapi post that has been published. And it works, for example, here. If I unpublish and then publish, I will have my post also here. So keep in mind, this is the first draft of the subscription feature, but it should be enhanced and corrected pretty soon. I find it pretty exciting. I hope you are finding this pretty exciting too. Thank you for listening to me. And if you have any question, I would be happy to answer them.
That was an amazing demo, JS. Thank you so much. There's so many people who are hyped about subscriptions. I see people, someone asks if you can do that without GraphQL.
What do you mean?
Like the subscriptions.
Oh, the subscription is like the GraphQL subscription feature. So it's basically linked to the GraphQL to the GraphQL plugin.
Okay, perfect. And I mean, there's a few questions around how that works under the hood, whether it's a push system or not.
Yeah, so I see the question from Octal Pixel. So yes, with the first version of the subscription in the Strapi GraphQL plugin is using WebSocket under the hood. We want to enable more system later, but we first want to have a solid ground with the first working version with WebSockets.
Makes sense. Nice. I'd have loved to take more questions, but I'll direct everyone to the Discord. Thank you so much, JS. I will take you backstage and we can continue the chat in the Discord. So it's discord.strapi.io. Lovely demo. Loved it. And thanks again.
Thank you. See you.
All right. So we have just over 10 minutes and we have one final presentation from Marvin, who is in here, but we have a recording and he's demoing the new design system, which is amazing. So let's let Marvin take that away.
Folks, here's Marvin from the core team, and I'm here today to talk about the design system and where we developing the component library that we use internally in the Strapi product. So if you don't know it yet, there is an open source repository that is available at this URL. We'll probably post it somewhere, somehow you'll be aware of it. So that's it, the code is here, you can check it, use it, etc., etc. In this repository, we have this link that points to a storybook listing every component that we have created in this library. So you have two sections: technical components that are mainly used under the hood. It's mostly for us actually to use it in the other components. And this one is correspond to the components that the community will be able to use and to play with. So nothing really new here compared to last time, except some fixes and small component enhancements. I won't go in details here. But yeah, that's basically it. You will see everything listed here. And in parallel, we've also started working on this website, which is still in progress. It will be released very soon, listing the principles, the different foundations that we have, eventually the components, and etc. and etc. So this will be available.
Right, so the video is lagging a little bit, and so I will speak for Marvin. So what he's demoing right now is the new Strapi design system and talking about why it's important and why that matters. So what's going to happen next is we're going to see how we can use the design system in a Strapi app. I mean, a React app, sorry. Hard force of habit. So we're gonna get into a React app pretty soon, and we're gonna look at the storybook. So this storybook, the link was shared in the chat. You can have access to each and every one of the different components in the Strapi library, and you have some sort of documentation, and you can use that documentation to import a lot of those components into either your Strapi app or another React application. I hope this format is working for everyone. So yeah, let me just skip ahead a little bit. So what we have here is VS Code. And inside VS Code, we can then change that hello world so that we can add a button component. And all we have to do is import the button, which Marvin will do very soon. I lost track. I'm a bit sad because it's lagging because this is a really cool demo. So I'll just skip to the parts that he shows the button in the React app that came from the Strapi design system. And the really cool thing is, instead of having to fix the CSS and set your own CSS properties, the design system sort of has an API for these components where you can set different parameters for things like spacing, things like coloring, things like theme, and you can add those to your app on the fly. So here what we're seeing is the stack component, which helps us stack up different components together. So what we're doing is stacking up a button with the parameter secondary variant. So adding the variant secondary means we change the color. And inside the root of the design system, we can change the theme. So that secondary can mean something else, and primary could mean something else. And that's all things that we can set for ourselves. Same thing for the stack. We can change how much space we want the stack to have. Nice, okay. people want to make custom components. That's good to see. But yeah, I think all this functionality that Marvin is demoing here is just like the flexibility of the design system and how it helps you customize and sort of own your project, but still stick to the Strapi design guidelines if you're building to extend the admin panel, or if you're building to create a plugin. Yes, so here we see the stack. The things are stacked up together as the name suggests. And there you can see the different variants and the different colors in the storybook for what things would look like. And then we can add different parameters, which we are going to look at. So whenever we look at the stack, for example, spacing is defined not by, so like basically when you say 6 inside the spacing as a property, it's not 6 pixels, but it corresponds to what is showing there, 24 pixels. And all those things are defined in the storybook and just give you so much flexibility when it comes to using the design system. Yeah, and yeah, basically here is saying no need to have like padding this, padding that, because the components already let you define a lot of these properties out of the box, and it's really just showing the power of the Strapi design system. If this wasn't the most optimal, don't worry about it. We'll upload the actual video onto YouTube so you can have an idea of everything that we were saying and see how everything actually works. Basically, all the components that are in the story block are designed so you can sort of look at the code and copy and paste everything into your VS Code and have them running out of the box. So the design system is really cool. If someone on the Strapi team is on the chat, could you drop a link to the design system website so that folks can check it out? And yeah, I think we're going to end it with Marvin. And for the Q&A, we're going to do something special. There's a banner there. We're going to hang out in Discord. So I'm going to end it with this automatically. Now I'm back. My computer hanged a bit. It seemed Marvin's video was too awesome to handle. But yes, thank you so much, Derek, for checking out the design system and for sharing the design system website and the design system repo. Do check that out. We're going to have our Q&A session in the Discord right now. So if you don't have our Discord, join our discord.strapi.io. We're super grateful for you taking the time to spend an hour and 30 minutes plus. Right now, we have about 80 people watching. I appreciate all of you doing that and staying on and just supporting us through this really big release. As you can see, this is only the beginning. This is the foundation of so many big things to come out for Strapi. And I'm really excited when we think about the injection zones and the plugins that Rémi demoed, all the customization through the API and controllers that Richard demoed, the new Strapi design system that Marvin was telling us about, and a lot of the GraphQL functionality and customization that JS was showing. It's going to be an amazing year for Strapi and the Strapi community. I can't wait to see what everyone builds. I know the Strapi team is also working really hard to give you an amazing tool that can give you wings. So just like if you can in the chat, round of applause for the Strapi team, round of applause for you, the Strapi community, and I'm super grateful again. It's been an amazing time, and thank you so much everyone for coming on. I'll see you in Discord. Ciao.